Radio Free Santa Clarita presents The Talk of Santa Clarita, a podcast about issues involving Santa Clarita and the surrounding valley. Episode 139, candidate for Los Angeles County 5th District Supervisor, Darrell Park. And now, let's see what the Talk of Santa Clarita is.
And remember, this is for posterity, so be honest.
Darrell Park, welcome to the Talk of Santa Clarita.
I am so honored to be here. Thank you for doing this program.
This is you're actually honored. Well,
I am honored. We're
gonna have to work on your priorities. No, your second time here. The first time we didn't have cameras, but now you were telling me about your orange tie.
So it's my 12-year-old's favorite color.
Mm-hmm.
$7 on the internet if you want to get one yourself. And it's for criminal justice reform, and it's for reducing gun violence as well.
Or the orange color symbolizes. Oh, my wife's part of Moms Demand Action. I think they did a Wear Orange event of some sort.
Something
to do with that. So.
And it's a very powerful color.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I used to wear ties when we were doing the video stuff, but I just found like because I appreciate you dressing up for the show. I found that it made me more stiff. You know, it's harder to actually just talk to people because I was very conscious of the fact that I had a tie on. You know.
Yeah.
So,
well, let me confess, so everybody knows.
Yeah.
I have two sets of outfits.
Uh-huh.
I used to have two outfits. Now I have two sets. My wife made me get more clothes.
Okay.
I have
two now. Yeah.
Dad cargo shorts and t-shirts.
Okay.
And it's great. Like when you're the dad and you have to get up and go and take the kids to soccer practice and all that, it's the perfect outfit.
Right.
Then I've got the uniform that I wear when I'm campaigning. Very inexpensive suit, and the way you can tell it's an inexpensive suit, people will give me like a "Hi, my name is" sticker to put on there.
Yeah.
Inevitably, when you have a cheap suit, the sticker always falls off. And the amount of time I've spent in places with gas leaks like Aliso Canyon, between that and the cheapness of these suits, all that I would have to do to go up in flames is get anywhere close to a lit match and boom.
Well, I mean, at least you've got a suit. I mean, that's like 6 steps above me. You know,
I think it is.
My ties are clip-on, so Well, let's talk. The last time you were here, you were running for supervisor.
Yeah.
And now you're back again running again. So How did you like? I mean, Katherine Barger won.
Yes.
Is it Barger or Barger? I've even asked her directly, and I still can't remember if it's Barger or Barger.
I think it's the second one.
Barger.
Yes.
Okay. She won, and you were. It was. Was it a tight election? Was it close? Was it not close? Or
yeah, I mean, we got outspent more than 20 to 1 with the outside money.
Yeah.
We didn't have any outside money. We had friends and family money, and so we got outspent there. The other sort of evil genius thing that happened was that she's a very conservative Republican, but she masked herself as like, hey,
as a moderate,
and she even pretended to Democratic voters and she did it very effectively. She tricked up to 30% of the Democratic voters into thinking that she was a Democrat, because what they did was they took the outside money and they took the Democrats that had sort of crossed party lines and they said, hey, progressive Democrats support this person.
Right.
And so that was a painful reason, the amount of time that you spend registering voters and all that thing, to have some of those folks be tricked and not have enough money. One of the flaws in our system is the California Constitution says that there's these quote-unquote nonpartisan elections. And if it's truly nonpartisan, if you're going for dog catcher and you've never been involved with politics, and your only thing is how gently you can collect these dogs and get them adopted, wonderful. Yeah. But the reality is these things are highly partisan.
Everything is.
And so what you're doing is you're depriving the voter of the main information they need to make a decision. And that's not fair. I want to know, especially in some of these judge elections, I'd really like to know, is this the sort of lock them up person, or is this the person that's actually forward thinking that's going to help that kid become a responsible adult?
Right.
And so I'm not in any position to change the California Constitution right now, but at some point, somebody watching and listening to your show will be. And so I would just ask them to focus on that part of constitutional reform where you give voters absolutely as much information as you can for the election process.
It is funny. I mean, even Santa Clarita City Council is supposed to be a nonpartisan race. But everybody knows who the Democrats are, who the Republicans are, because the party clubs immediately go to the registered parties and start endorsing. Yeah. And I mean, going in if you're going to vote for the Republican or the Democrat. That's the way it is. I think that. I think you're right. I think it's a problem. So let's. One of the things this is my own fault in a lot of ways, but the last time you were here, and then I interviewed Katherine. Yeah. I think probably one of my worst interviews was with Katherine, because and this is where I'm going with this. I didn't quite. It's hard to understand or grasp exactly what the supervisor's position is in government and what they do, and how it relates to, say, LA County, to the city of LA, to Santa Clarita.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's. Okay, so how many supervisors are there?
There's 5 supervisors.
5 supervisors. Okay.
And I would say that absolute power corrupts absolutely. You've heard that saying before. Yeah. For a much smaller, for 1/3 the budget, the city of LA has 15 people.
Really?
Right? Why don't we have a lot more people? Why? Because you have people with way too much power. That just doesn't make sense. That's how abuse happens. That's how corruption happens. And even if there's not corruption or abuse, there's mismanagement in the form of people just can't keep track of everything they need to keep track of.
So the supervisors handle all of LA County, which is one of the largest counties, correct me if I'm wrong, in the country, correct?
Correct.
I mean, it's huge. I was looking at a map once. I couldn't believe how big LA County. I think it's as big as Kentucky.
And this district, so it's 4,000 square miles all told. Wow. This district, the 5th district supervisor position, is 2,800 square miles. 2,800 square miles. Yeah. And so you look at, I know you're very involved with the homeless issue. Yeah. If you have no homeless shelter in 1,500 square miles, this is America. That's not how we do things. Right. And you look at that and you say, wait a minute, the county right now is, you as a taxpayer are paying $40,000 for someone to sleep on the street. You can get them in permanent supportive housing for $20,000. You don't have to be a math professor to know that.
Yeah, Salt Lake City's been doing something like that.
Yeah, it's more than $1 billion. So I personally went to Salt Lake City. Folks there did an amazing job, And what they did, their number crunchers, they looked at the numbers and they said, hey, we have a humanitarian crisis, but we also have a financial crisis. And if we're paying only $20,000 to get someone into housing and $40,000 to have them on the street, get everybody into housing. And the genius thing of what they did, and it's very straightforward and simple, 50% of the people are homeless because of job loss. Everybody's got the impression of every single person is mentally ill, every single person is drug addicted.
Or they choose to be homeless just for the sake
of it. And the reality is what the numbers show is that 50% of those folks are job loss, right? So as quickly as you can, there's more than enough opportunity, right? There's so much in this district that needs to be done. Okay, what do those folks need? You're not going to be running Google tomorrow, but if you can clean up at a construction site, it pays relatively well. You walk a mile or two, or you take a beater bicycle, and they'll help you with that. And they make sure that everybody's set, and they make sure that there's somebody looking out for them. Right. It's not 24/7, but there's at least one person whose number you can carry around in a wallet. And, hey, Darrell, I'm stuck. I need help. I need a ride to work. I need whatever. There's somebody there that knows you exist and cares about you. So that's the 50%. Most of those people become taxpayers within 30 days. So it blows out the window. Just mind blowing.
Right. But it's thinking outside the box. I think a lot of people, based on the stereotypes of what homelessness is. So they hear the idea of housing somebody first. Yeah. And they go, that's crazy. Have them get a job. But they don't think about the idea of having a job while being homeless. It's like, well, you have to worry about where you're going to sleep. How are you going to wake up in the morning? Are you going to be able to get a shower? It's not so easy to just get a job if you don't have a place to stay.
And one of my favorite programs is one in my neighborhood called Door of Hope. And our church does a lot with Door of Hope. We bring the kids in, we have dinner with them, and the kids play on the playground, and everybody gets to hang out. And when kids grow out of clothes, or they have extra toys they don't need, or they've upgraded whatever thing, boom, or they're sick of a puzzle, here you go. So there's a lot of homeless families that are just struggling. But there's 5 or 6 rooms in this house. Big house, you never know it's there. Big sign on the door, but I drive by it all the time, and you'd never know if you weren't, associated with it. So the families live for 3 months in these rooms. They have all their meals together. They have breakfast and dinner together. They help them find jobs. The kids get to school. They get all the support they need. They have the sort of communal support, and they have the people that run the program. And then, after 3 months of doing that, they've been saving money the whole time, right? Every single cent they earn, they save, right? There's no money spent on food or anything, right? That's the organization pays for that. And then there's 10 apartments in the back, so you get to live in an apartment for another 3 months. After 6 months, you've saved, you got a lot of times you got 2 parents working, and everybody's working really hard. You've saved 5 figures. You've saved, $10,000 or more. Then they can send you out into the world. You still have support, but you got first month's rent, you got last month's rent, you have money for a car repair, you have the money for the things that trip people up. Most people in LA County don't have access to $3,000. A whole lot of people don't even have access to $300. So
I don't have access to $30.
Yeah, and so if you've got that situation, that's not beneficial for me as somebody who wants to be in office. I want everybody to have enough to cover their basic stuff. So part of that is I look around the county, everything needs to be, there's not one place I look down, not one street I look down where I'm that could be slightly improved. It's not to say it's horrible now, but hey, if we're really trying to be the best we can be, we could have a few more trees on the street.
There's always room for improvement.
We could always paint this thing. And so 2 things. One is I'd like to have a situation where if you are struggling, any street has dozens and dozens of tasks I'd like to see done. Every open area, the same thing. Every park, same thing. In the same way the Forest Service trains firefighters. And then when there is a big fire, hey, we need 5,000 firefighters with this level of training. We need 10,000 firefighters of this. They already have their equipment. They show up in Boulder, Colorado, or Santa Clarita, California, or wherever, and they get paid the daily rate for that amount of training. They have the right equipment. They have all that, and the check goes to the right place. They've worked all that stuff out. Why can't we have that so that the people that are struggling get matched up with the stuff that needs to be done?
Right. That makes sense.
So, hey, it's a great deal for the county. The better we are, the less trash we have, the better things are, right? And if you're an 18-year-old kid and you're trying to buy your mom a birthday present and you'd like $50 to buy her a present and take her out to dinner, you work for a bunch of hours on a Saturday cleaning up the park, great. It's good for everybody. It's money well spent. Then, on the justice reform side, we pay $75,000 per prisoner in our jail system with a 73% recidivism rate. It doesn't make sense, right? 91% of those folks are nonviolent offenders. They should serve their time, but serving their time doesn't mean watching TV in a cell or being in horrible conditions or having somebody assault them or be assaulted. That doesn't help anybody.
So you're saying community service?
So I'm saying community service, where they're working. There's a technology to know exactly where people are at any time. I have this thing called a phone, and the phone company knows where I am at every moment.
That's creepy.
It is, but the point is, if we're doing it to ourselves, you can have some way that's verifiable where you know where people are. You give them assignments. Hey, paint these curbs. Whenever you get done painting these curbs, you get to go home. You get to have dinner with your family, you get to sleep in your own bed, all that kind of stuff. I don't have to pay the massive amount of expenses of the $75,000. The few $1,000s that I am paying, I'm getting crazy benefit out of that. I'm getting solar panels installed, I'm getting trees planted. And people say, oh, what about the workers we're already paying to do that? Yeah, I'm not taking away anything from them.
It doesn't.
They get to do higher and better work, and there's enough of it. So that as we convert everything, especially in Santa Clarita, to clean energy. There's so much work to be done. It's like, you remember this from when they went from no internet to internet in basically 18 months.
Yeah.
Every church basement, every synagogue, every mosque, every library, you have to pull cable through these places.
Yeah.
There's no way that you could call whatever your local provider is and have them do that.
Right.
So it was, when I was living in DC, it was all the homeless folks. It was the college students that were starving. It was anybody that needed that extra work. And it was the equivalent of $25.
Yeah.
And they did it straight 24 hours a day for 18 months, and then all the cables pulled, and people went back to whatever they were doing before. So we have an opportunity to just make this county spectacular. We're right now, there's a $30 billion budget.
Yeah.
Out of that $30 billion, $16 billion of that is spent on contracting. Only 1% of that $16 billion goes to small businesses. So the people that are struggling, how do you ever get ahead? There's some mega corporation in New York City or wherever getting all the money. What I'd really like to see, especially in Santa Clarita, is folks that are working 2, 3, 4 jobs.
Right.
All of a sudden they can have a contracting business. And there's so many things that the county needs. I would rather have somebody, if you're painting something or cleaning something or fixing something,
right.
and something goes wrong, as Darrell Park, an entrepreneur, if I can, hey, we have this problem, it was supposed to be painted red, it's painted blue, oh, no problem, I'll fix it. Versus like now what has to happen is our 3,000 lawyers have to deal with their 3,000 lawyers, and 10 years later, it's all these court costs. Like, no, like, let's have family-owned businesses here. So instantaneously, we're going to up that from 1% small business set aside to 25%. And then within 3 years, it'll be 50%.
Okay.
And that'll be a huge small business boom. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to take Santa Clarita plus the whole North Antelope Valley and make everybody energy independent by the end of 2025.
Okay, wait.
Yes. Yes.
You are getting so far ahead of me. I was going to ask where you went to school.
Sorry. So I went to the most amazing undergrad school called Allegheny College. Yeah. And I'm just blessed every single day that I got to go to this place.
Right.
Teeny little school in the middle of Western Pennsylvania.
But are you from Los Angeles? Or?
No, I grew up outside of DC.
Okay.
Raised by hippie parents, like true hippie parents.
Awesome.
With like, they made their own yogurt, they made their own bread, they had the Volkswagen bus. They were foster parents of 19 kids. Yeah. Some there for a weekend, some there for years and years. But just, the true compassionate person. Sure, exactly how you'd want everyone to be. You don't
have like a middle name like Moonbeam or something like that?
No, I don't. So went off to Allegheny College, and it was amazing. And I do everything I can to help them out. I taught a class before. I'm teaching a class now. I love the place. It's just amazing. Then I went to Georgetown for public policy school, and worked in the White House complex for 10 years.
For Clinton and who else?
So Clinton and a little bit of Bush. And the thing about Clinton, there was an economic boom, and he had this idea of what he wanted to do and where he wanted to go. And I can say this because my office mate was the guy that did the charts. Yeah. He asked my office mate very early on for this chart, show me the line of what things look like if we don't change anything. Show me the line if I get to do what I want to do in terms of raising taxes on rich people and having this economic boom. Yeah. He was able to balance the budget 4 times. Yeah. The worst case scenario, to have the entire federal debt paid off, the entire thing, which is now $22 billion, was 2011. The whole thing paid off. He realized as a governor of a poor state, love him or hate him, but he realized the same way that any single parent realizes, if you can get rid of your interest payments, if you can get rid of your debt as much as possible, you have so much more money to spend. Yeah. For that single mom or that single dad that has a max out credit card and they're paying 18%, that drags you down. It's just hard to get ahead.
What was... I'm just curious the difference. I mean, you say you worked for Bush as well. I mean, what was the difference between the two? I mean, because they had definitely radically different philosophies about things. I mean,
so and that's why I honestly had to leave. Yeah.
You were in the Office of Budget Management, right?
Yeah, the Office of Management and Budget. And, in Clinton's time, worked till like 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock every night.
Yeah.
The economy's booming, and all this amazing stuff is going on, and you're trying to... When the economy is good, governments have to spend less money.
Yeah.
There's less crime, there's less domestic violence, people are working, and so all the good stuff, they're taking in tax revenue, but they're not having to pay out. If people are working, they don't need the housing subsidies, everything from food subsidies to everything else, it's less. And so there's this huge pile of money that you can spend to look forward, and that was amazing. And it was a place where you could question the president or anybody on down to say, like, I don't fully understand why you're doing this. Stop somebody in the hall, a very senior person, and they'd say, oh, we're doing it for this reason and that reason. During Bush's time, there was none of that. Like, the work wasn't as long, and they knew what they wanted the answer to be before it was there. Clinton didn't know. Like, I want 30 scenarios. I want you to run the mainframe computer all night and figure out which one of these makes the most sense given our constraints. I don't know what the right answer is. Run all these scenarios. And so, like, burning through crazy electricity bills, running this computer 24/7. But that's the way it should be, right? That's the decision-making process. For Bush, they knew what they wanted the answer to be, right? They wanted to help big corporations. They had a certain view of who should own houses and why, et cetera, and they were into helping a very different group of people. They wanted to tax the rich people less and tax the poor people more, and what that ends up doing is, like we have now, you just create a huge debt.
Was that a specific agenda idea?
Yeah.
No,
they wouldn't describe it that way, right? They would say that, like, hey, we're trying to free this money in the economy to be spent on something other than taxes. The thing that people forget about taxes, nobody wants incredibly high taxes. But you want nice roads, you want police protection, you want fire protection, you want to make sure that kid on the bottom end of the scale can get to the middle class, and some of those middle class kids get to the top. That's the promise of America. And if it takes a little bit of tax money to get there, it's way better spent.
Sure.
Think about places where they don't have taxes. Somalia. You're going to spend the equivalent of taxes, like hiding in your house trying not to get shot. I just had to go. And at that point, I ran off to Stanford Business School. I became an entrepreneur. I just fell in love with entrepreneurship, where it was the best things I liked about government, about being truly innovative and trying to, like, hey, we have this constraint. How do you solve this problem?
Right.
So what I do now is I take small green businesses. Imagine a nerdy scientist. They have a great idea for something related to solar or wind or lighting. They've got this great idea, and they know everything about that. But they don't know how to sell it. They don't know how to translate their, it's like, imagine if you owned a restaurant and you had the greatest burger, but you don't know how to, like, market it. There's a skill there.
Right.
And so I help them find their first customers, people that are willing to take the risk. Like, oh, I see the advantage of why this lighting could save me money.
Right.
And most of these first customers are flexible. If half the bulbs burn out, it's fine. Hey, we understand you're trying your best. Let's do it again. And then once those companies become middle-sized companies, they don't need me, and I find the next small one. We are going to have an amazing revolution when it comes to energy, and we can wait and be last and pay everyone, or everybody in Santa Clarita can make tons of money. I put solar on my house. I used to pay $400 a month. Now I get $300 back. Plus I have a backup system. The power in my community goes out all the time. I have all these wonderful elderly women on the street that have medications and all this. So my fridge will work 24/7 no matter what. Got a battery backup. I've got light in every bedroom and bathroom. I've got the internet, all the internet plugs. The internet on the internet company side doesn't always work, like their power goes out. But I've got all this stuff set up so that life can continue. The car charger works, all that kind of stuff. And then if something goes wrong, hey, if you need to put your medicine in my fridge or whatever, great. The idea that we have this, that I have this, I've tried to convince, and probably a third of the street has solar in some form now. But if we can convert everybody, you're so much better off. Then when the big one happens, downtown LA is not coming for us.
Right.
They're not going to be there. We're going to be Puerto Rico on dry land.
No, I mean, and I was here for the '94 earthquake.
Yeah.
And it was a situation where, like, I mean, you know, when 5 is shut down or whatever, I mean,
how do you get food? How do you get everything?
You're marooned. You know? I mean, really, there's nothing you can do. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I did go through your website.
Yeah.
And I looked through a lot of your stuff. I mean, you're definitely, I mean, I don't think you'll take offense by this, but when I say that you're a policy wonk kind of geek kind of person.
I love that, yeah.
And I don't know if I'm sure you listened to the last podcast we did, but my intro, I think I described you as either brilliant or crazy. Because what struck me interesting about that was interesting about your ideas and things is they remind me a little bit of not that they're specifically the same, but that Elizabeth Warren kind of, I've got a plan for that. You know, you've got it mapped out exactly what you want to do, and how it's going to benefit the community.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that you're suggesting. I mean, the idea of planting trees. What was I was some kind of incredible amount of.
And it's really not that many trees.
Okay.
So everybody, like you take Ethiopia, right?
Yeah.
Ethiopia planted 300 million trees in one day.
Okay.
I'm talking about planting 100 million trees per year. And so
where? Where though?
Everywhere that a tree will reasonably grow.
Okay.
And so part of that is being smart about water.
Yeah.
We have a lot of wastewater. So I'll tell you, in my own personal house, everybody's got a washing machine. And the people before us that lived there for 60 years planted these amazing fruit trees. But I sort of felt like, I don't want to spend the water to water them.
Right.
And so they were growing sadder and sadder and sadder with teeny little fruit. I got gray water. So every time I do a load of laundry, 16 gallons of disgusting, smelly water gets on there. I have oranges that are this large. I have lemons and limes that are the size of what oranges should be.
Really?
And zero water wasted, right?
So that our audience knows gray water is recycled water from like the toilet from the...
that's black water. So, but
water,
mainly just from your laundry.
Yeah.
Everybody does laundry.
Yeah.
And so why not have it grow fruit? I mean, it's perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so the idea is, how do we get everybody in Santa Clarita to be self-sufficient energy-wise? One, it saves crazy money. Like I myself, I don't even have that big of a house. $8,000 a year. And at the end of 50 years, there's $150,000 of free cash flow. I won't get to see all that. I probably won't be in that house that long.
Right.
But the idea that my teeny little roof is able to produce, my 29 panels is able to produce that amount of extra money. Santa Clarita has amazing sunshine. Why are we paying anything for electricity? We shouldn't be.
Well, I mean, but are you talking about mandating that everybody get solar?
No, what I'm saying is that we will be energy independent. That's not saying that everybody's got to have solar on their roof. That's not saying that everybody's got to buy solar. It's saying for the people who want it, we're going to make it crazy easy. If you got tons of money, the best investment you can make is to put solar on your roof with a battery backup.
Yeah, so how are you going to make it crazy easy? What are you going to do? I mean...
So we're going to facilitate the process so that you don't have to... I had to go and research like 12 companies and interview these people. We're going to have the equivalent of what the federal government has. They go through the process and they interview, hey, these people provide floor wax, these people provide whatever. And then all the government agencies can just buy, they don't have to go through the process. They can just go through an easy procurement process. So that's the first thing. The second thing is for the people who can't afford it, no problems. I desperately want you to have solar because when the earthquake happens, I need you to be able to live your life the way you're living it now.
Yeah.
It's imperative for me to have you be as productive as you can after the 9.1 or whatever the number is that we're 125 years overdue for. So I will happily fund that. You've generously paid tons of money in the form of taxes, some of which goes to buy orange juice futures and invest in the U.S. stock market. We're going to pull a small amount of that back. The returns on that are around 4 to 6%. I know that I can get more than that by putting solar on your roof. Plus, lowers your electricity bill. I get crazy money returned from it, and when the big one happens, you just get to live your life.
No, you're not talking about raising taxes in the process.
No, of course not. We're actually going to earn. We're going to earn money off the money you've already invested in the government.
And you've laid this out to where, I mean, like, you've done the math to make sure this works.
Yes, and so things that pencil out now. So solar pencils out, solid energy storage pencils out, and so I know that's hard to conceive of, but like, imagine Lego blocks, one on top of another, with like an electric motor crane. Yeah. But these Lego blocks are 35 metric tons, like 5 times the size of this room. And when there's extra power, everybody's got solar.
Right.
But the thing with solar is you make a lot more energy than you use during the day. Yeah, I'm running my air conditioner or whatever, but like, there's a lot of extra power. And then because there's no sunlight at night, like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So one of the things is you store it in big batteries, but batteries are expensive and they're hard to maintain and they're very sensitive and na. But Lego blocks, they last forever.
Yeah.
And so there's an electric motor that lifts these things up, using the energy to lift them up. But then just like you getting something off a tall shelf, there's energy savings when it comes down. And so every Lego block that you put down on the ground is a megawatt of power. So people say, oh, how are we going to, like, we can't use solar because there's no storage. Yeah, there's perfect storage, and the storage is almost free.
Right.
So right now, most people's electricity costs 12, 13, 14, 15, up to 20 or 25 cents. This is electricity plus the storage for 4 or 6 cents.
Wow. Big difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
So everybody gets cleaner air because 11% of us have asthma, and that's a multi-billion-dollar effect on even our local economy. So you have less asthma, you have less other health problems, and you have a way to produce electricity very, very cheaply. But more important than that, if you do it early, then people in Santa Clarita get jobs as consultants, teaching Beijing, Shanghai, Honolulu, New York City how to do that, right?
Well, I mean, what you're saying sounds great. But I mean, if it's such a great idea, I mean, what's the catch? Because I mean, there's got to be a catch. If it's such a great idea, somebody would have already done it, right? I mean,
I would say that the answer is the people that are making the money from the current system. They would like to keep. I mean, if you and I owned an oil company, we'd spend a lot of money on lobbyists to try to keep the system the way it is, right?
Yeah.
If you work for the electric company, of course, you're going to want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
We just had a slight earthquake, I think.
No, something like that. It wasn't an earthquake, but...
oh, it wasn't?
Okay. Someone was getting restless in their chair behind us, so...
Sorry.
It's all right. Okay, so I want to ask you about this. It's not really. I guess in a way it's a big deal for some, but for others, to me, it's just a kind of a curiosity thing. It's you want to stop euthanizing animals.
Yeah.
Now, all my pets have come from shelters.
Yeah.
And it's tough for me to go to a shelter because I just want to take them all home.
Exactly.
Particularly when I think about. But on the other end of it, what are you going to do if you get rid of euthanizing all these extra animals that are lost or don't have homes or whatever? I mean, what do we do about that? I mean, it seems like you're going to create a problem of billions of dogs and cats, without a place to go. I mean, how do you solve that problem?
So in the north of Santa Clarita, there was one male cat that fathered 183 other cats.
So this guy got lucky.
And so the idea is, hey, let's be smart about spading and neutering cats and dogs.
Right.
Let's be really thoughtful about that. But let's care for our animals. The amount of taxes we pay, we should be able to have every animal in a loving home. We should not.
I don't know about that, Darrell.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems the amount of animals that there are. I mean, it just...
So we kill right now 15,000 cats and dogs.
That's horrible.
But it's out of 10 million people. And you're telling me that there's not 15,000 people right now waking up like, oh man, I'd love to have a cat of this personality or a dog of this personality.
So what are you going to do? I mean, are you going to give incentives for people to adopt a cat, or adopt
there will be incentives for adoption. Yeah. You're still going to have a background process and all that. Yeah. We're not going to release a bunch of black cats the day before Halloween, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But societies are judged based on how they take care of their kids, how they take care of their elderly, and how they take care of their animals. So we will actually save money. When they implemented the no-kill shelters in LA City, they end up saving money.
Really?
Like the process of disposing of these animals and going through this process and all the record keeping, it's more expensive than it is just to do the right thing to get those animals adopted.
So, I mean, right now, to get an animal, it's usually, I think the last dogs that we adopted, they actually had a deal where they waived a lot of the fees, and it was like $20. But the usual fees with vaccinations and everything like that, it's like $150 or something like that. So you're saying instead of paying to get the dog or the cat, I would get a cash incentive to adopt a dog or a cat. Is that correct?
It's slightly different than that.
Okay.
You're going to get support based on a sliding scale, right? If you're running Google, you're not going to get a bunch of incentives.
Right. Okay.
But if you're a family, family of four, struggling, you're at the bottom end of the scale, you're working hard, but your kids really like a dog or a cat, we're going to do everything to incentivize that. Assuming you pass all the tests and it's a loving home and all that. We will make sure that you are supported in that way. And that sliding scale means that you're not paying the $150. Sometimes in some places it's $250 or more with all the vaccinations. And out of that, you're getting vet care, you're getting the other support, you're getting the proper food, you're getting the training, you're getting everything the upper middle class folks are able to provide for their animals. And there's more than enough money for all of this. There's no reason. One of the things that we have is we have massive income inequality. The promise of America is that the person who starts out at the bottom end of the scale should be able to work hard and get to where everyone else is.
Yeah.
We're not in that situation right now because of the high cost of education, because of the high cost of housing, because of the fact that the jobs don't cover costs like they used to. So one of the things that's going to happen as a result of this green energy boom is that people are going to be making money in ways that they weren't making money before. So, hey, before I was working 3 or 4 fast food jobs, barely surviving. The guys that installed my solar system, one of them was talking about the bonus check he got. It's like, wow, I'd like a bonus check like that. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody can get those bonus checks. Everybody has that ability to do that. The idea that the technology for solar and wind and energy storage is really well understood.
Right.
So the money is there. I know for sure how much sunlight there is. I know how efficient the technology is. I know the conversion rates. And I know from day one I can make money. And I can make money with your invested tax dollars. So this isn't a government handout.
Right.
And it provides for things like the startup of the no-kill animal shelter. That no-kill animal shelter will, sort of be cheaper than the kill animal shelter over time. But we are going to have a boom, and that boom allows us to think more generously than we have. We can take care of the homeless folks because we're saving $20,000 per homeless person by putting them into housing.
Let me ask you about homeless in particular, because when Katherine was on the show, she said that was high on her agenda. About
what has she done? Show me one place she's built.
Well, that was going to be my question: is why has the housing? The homeless situation expanded so much in the past, was it been 4 years? I see a lot of conservative posts on Facebook where they're blaming the Democrats because it's a Democrat, mayor in Los Angeles and things like that, and a Democratic city council and things.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah. So, but what is the blame? What is the problem that's creating the homeless situation out here in LA County? What do you think it is?
The problem is the cost of housing. The problem is the lack of employment opportunities, and the fact that we are just not supporting our people. We have a crappy mental health system. We have a crappy health system. We don't have it's so hard to be poor here. I've been poor in DC. I've been poor in Boston. Both of those cities, You could walk around. You could take a beater bike to your job. You could, there were places to get cheap food.
Right.
In LA County, you have to have a car, or good luck you're spending 3 hours each way on a bus.
Right.
All the things that you can be poor in other places are impossible here. And there's blame for everyone to go around. But the solution is very obvious. Utah and Scandinavia spend billions of dollars implementing these systems. We don't have to pay any of that. We just get to take what they did and make it real.
Well, I mean, the measure that was passed, what is it, Measure H, or is it?
Yeah, so there's two. There's HHH for LA City, and H. She hasn't built a single unit. And the ones that they built for LA City, $600,000, some of these condos. That's not sustainable, right? They don't have $600,000 for all 65,000 homeless people.
The conservative groups that I've seen on Facebook like to point that finger at it.
It's horrible.
It's not like, as a liberal, it's not like we get excited about spending wasteful money that's supposed to be there to solve a problem. I mean, or having it spent in a situation that it doesn't have to be.
Let's talk about it in terms of computers.
Yeah.
When you and I were kids, they had massive mainframe computers.
Sure.
It cost millions upon millions of dollars. Entire floors of buildings to run these computers. And then the floor above and below are the air conditioning systems. It's a huge thing. Less processing power than in your phone. What they did with computer technology is they made it faster and better and smaller, but also cheaper. The idea is not to try to give every single homeless person a $600,000 condo. There's just not enough money in the world for that.
Yeah.
We've worked with architects to come up with a design that's about $50 a square foot. It's modular construction. A lot of it built by union labor. Sort of think of a fancy IKEA bookshelf where they've thought of everything.
Yeah.
Is it going to last for 200 years? No, it's not going to last for 200 years. It's got a lifespan of somewhere 25 to 75 years, depending on the quality of construction. But you're meeting a need now, and you're solving that problem now. And if you can get 75 years out of a place,
that's good.
And for $50 a square foot, I'll take that deal all day, any day. The idea is we need to have a building boom. I can predict with more than 50% accuracy where any 18 to 34-year-old is living. And I shouldn't be able to do that. They're living with a gazillion roommates, or they're living with their parents. Any other time in our history, they would have their own family at that point.
Right.
They would be having 2 cars in their own house and that kind of thing. We are in a situation where we've got to flip that around very quickly.
Yeah.
So affordable housing is the key. What that means is making places of very high quality but smaller.
What do you say about the argument, in Santa Clarita in particular, with the city council, there's been an argument about having a permanent shelter out here, and
shelters long term don't solve the problem.
But the issue was the belief that it would actually work as a magnet for bringing homeless to this city. I don't buy that. I know that's not true.
Yeah.
But I will say, if I was homeless in general, and I could get to LA, and I knew they had free housing for me, I would probably come here. So I mean, are you sure that it wouldn't intensify the problem?
Everybody in Utah said the same thing.
Yeah,
and you think there's conservatives here. There's a lot more conservatives in Utah.
Sure,
and they all were banging their hands adamantly on the table saying it's going to attract all these people.
Right.
Nobody wants to be homeless.
Yeah.
Nobody sort of says hey, I'm going to live the homeless dream. That's nobody's dream, right?
What is the homeless dream, by the way?
This idea that life is crazy hard. Nobody asks for that. Nobody wants that. When that happens, that's a failure of all of us and our society. And frankly, it's the ultimate sign of government waste, right? We've all paid. I've paid for that person to have a nice life, and they're not. And so I'm getting ripped off, and that makes me mad. In addition to all the humanitarian stuff. So they said the same thing in Utah, but it didn't happen. And part of the reason why it didn't happen is we're not just doing open shelters. We're providing a pathway for someone to get back into life. Right. And if you're coming, a lot of the folks that we work with in Door of Hope, they came from North Carolina because they had a job opportunity in the 10 days it took them to drive across the country. The company goes out of business. They spent all their money getting here.
Yeah.
I want that person to be a taxpayer. I want that person to be happy and successful, and how can I help?
Right.
So the how can I help answer is they're in Door of Hope. They spend 3 months in the front, 3 months in the back of this place, and they have their $10,000, and then every day for the rest of their lives, they're a taxpayer paying into that system. The idea that we can get a lot of these folks back to become taxpayers is huge. Like, that's more than 50% of that population. The other thing is, for the folks that we can't, and there's a whole lot of people that are drug addicted and a whole lot of people that are mentally ill, what Utah did is they got them the support that they needed for them, right?
Yeah, I remember reading about this.
If they are severely mentally ill, I can't just leave you in a place, right? You might burn yourself on the stove, you might whatever. Like, I need to make sure that you're cared for. Like, you wouldn't just, if your grandmother's Alzheimer's, you don't just let her wander around the street.
Right.
You get her in the thing that she needs. But if all she needs is some arts and crafts, that's a whole different situation. So what they did is what we're going to do. You find the situation that every person needs, and that saves crazy money. And then a lot of those people, if they're in a situation where they're getting that proper treatment, they can get back to work. Maybe not in a conventional way, but they can do something productive for themselves and for society. And the best way is not to leave people on the street. That's crazy expensive. And in Utah, and we're going to find it here too, you're not going to attract a mass of people. Like, the people that get stuck are already getting stuck. We're just saying, hey, you're stuck to the flypaper. We're going to get you off the flypaper into a situation where a month or 6 months from now, you're a taxpayer again, and you're living the life that you want to be living, and I'm getting tax revenue from you. And if in the meantime, I can train you to be a solar installer, and instead of working 3 jobs at car washes and fast food restaurants, you're all of a sudden your own solar installer, and you're doing a $20,000 install 50 weeks a year. That's $1 million for your company. Like, the potential is there.
What you also, one of the other things you said was that free public transportation. I mean, why? I mean, who's going to pay for that?
We have an F in traffic. An F in traffic. And we have the worst air pollution of any civilized country, right? This is, I mean, we're like third world city status in terms of air pollution. People spend, coming up here, I'm driving as fast as I want to drive. Everybody there can't drive any faster than 15 or 20. They're stuck in traffic. It shouldn't be that way. People should be able to have dinner with their husbands and wives and kids. They should be able to spend that extra time with their teenager that now they're spending in traffic both ways. It just doesn't make sense. So right now, only 9% of the money that is spent on the public transportation system comes from fares. Only 9%, right? It's about $30 per person in LA County. The average person is paying $3,000. So there's way better budgeting people than me. But I'm not half bad. I can guarantee you that I can move $3,000 around to find $30 extra. There is so much waste. Republican, Democrat, independent, decline to state.
Well, I mean,
the money's there. So what you do is you move that $30 around. Then any place you want to get on a bus, you go. You want to get on the light rail. When I take the light rail, more than half the time I take the light rail, there's 5 or 10 sheriff's deputies standing there at a cost of $100,000 a year in salary and benefits to check the tickets. I love them patrolling, right? Making sure that everyone's safe, making sure that no one's dropping trash. If there's somebody that needs assistance, they get assistance. But sitting there by the gate for what? And then what they've found in Europe, where they've done this 5, 6, 7, 8, 9%, and we probably won't get 9, but we'll get 5 or 6% of the cars get off the road. Right? If there's an express bus that can get me downtown in 32 minutes, why am I going to spend an hour and a half in my car?
Well, you mentioned earlier about the fact that some people have to take a bus for 3 hours or whatever to get. I mean, I think even if you can do that, as far as making it free, I mean, the public transportation out here sucks.
Yeah, and it sucks. I mean, it's like the chicken and the egg, right?
Yeah,
like, how do you make something better when no one uses it?
Right.
Well, you get people to use it, and then you're there instantaneously, moving buses around, doing the things that we need to do. It takes a long time to put in rail lines. It takes a long time to put in high-speed rail.
I want a subway from Santa Clarita to the Red Line. Can you do that?
So, yeah, that would be the most amazing tunnel drilling ever in the history of the world. What we can do instantaneously.
I can dream.
Yeah, what we can do instantaneously.
Yeah.
And we have to, right?
Yeah.
As part of conversion to never burning carbon after 2030. Like, we're just not going to be able to.
Right.
Rail is going to be one of those answers because you can power it by sunlight, by electricity, and that's going to be an answer.
But I mean, the reason I bring up, because I've done public transportation from Santa Clarita down into Hollywood.
Yeah.
And
how long did that take you?
About the same time it would take to drive. To be honest with you.
Okay.
But what I found frustrating was I would take the bus down to the Red Line in North Hollywood to get into Hollywood. Yeah. Okay. But the bus is on the freeway. So it's stuck in the same traffic that if I was driving.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's no, I mean, I was sort of like, well, I might as well drive. I mean,
every Mexican president in modern times has had their own freeways. And it's disgusting, right? They have it's like a construction barrier on either side.
Yeah.
And all the, everybody else, the average person in Mexico is stuck on this freeway. Mm-hmm. This freeway, nobody's on it.
Right.
And I get it. They have security concerns and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Imagine if you had the same thing that the president of Mexico has, where that bus
could just drive
has the constraints of however fast the bus drivers union decides they want to drive.
Yeah.
Whatever number that is. And given that those bus drivers are highly trained and that there'd only be buses on there, that number can probably be higher than the average car would be able to drive. The more you can do those kinds of things, the better off everybody is. Better for the bus drivers, better off for you. And the more people you can get down there, great.
Right.
The other thing I want to talk about is if you have your solar company here and you're churning through $1 million a year just doing one solar install a week, why do you need to go down there? Oh, I need to go down because I have extra money and I'd like to go see Hamilton. I'd like to go down there to go out to dinner at this certain restaurant. But if your life can be here, so part of it is going down free and fast.
Right.
But it's also, the other half of it is not doing tax breaks where you have international companies coming from God knows where with these big tax breaks, and then they're going to leave if they get a better deal somewhere else.
Right.
But it's starting businesses here that are solid businesses that enable people to do really well. So one of the greatest things that I learned from my time in the White House complex is this concept of a loan guarantee, right? The federal government would write pieces of paper for people who, were meeting all the requirements, and that piece of paper says, hey, Darrell, you want to do X. You've met all these requirements. You take this piece of paper, it's worth $5 million, walk into whatever bank you want, and it's same as cash. Got the seal on it and everything.
Right.
The federal government and the county government only has to carry the default rate on their books. So if you're loaning out $100 million and the default rate is 5%, you have to carry $5 million on your books. I have to, effectively, it's like I paid $5 million. So what I can do is anybody who wants to do solar installs, anybody who wants to do energy backup, anybody who wants to do energy efficiency, microgrids, all the things that are going to help us convert. And out of Santa Clarita, if people are like, wow, I really like to have an agriculture-based business, desert shrimp farming, it sounds like a funny thing, but it's a really profitable entity where they have big tanks that grow shrimp. And I don't know if you bought shrimp recently, but $19 a pound is sort of cheap.
Right, yeah.
So hey, from going to, going slightly north of here and being able to make $19 a pound for shrimp when you have these tanks that do tons and tons, there's huge opportunity. We'll take those investment opportunities all day, every day with those loan guarantees so nobody is stuck. Right now, I'd like to have this internet business. I'd like to have this graphic design business. I'd like to have this roofing business, this solar business, this microgreen business, but I can't because no one's going to loan me the money. Hey, we'll loan you the money. And I've been there as an entrepreneur who's failed in businesses. You're crying in the kitchen table with the snot bubble coming out of your nose in the middle of the night. I get it.
That was me last night.
80% of those businesses fail. And I've been there. I've been on the successful side, and it's a lot more fun to be on the successful side.
Sure.
But part of getting you to the successful side is having a couple of stumbles. County's happy to pay for those stumbles. You're paying people here, you're paying taxes here, and half of those people that stumble get back on the horse and succeed.
Where do your, I mean, you're obviously very progressive and forward-thinking as far as your ideas go. And very compassionate. I mean, it's very evident what you're saying. Where do those ideas come from? What is it about you that makes you think the way you do? You know, I mean, where does that come from? I mean, you said you had hippie parents.
I mean, it's the hippie parents part of it, where it's like that practical combination of like what's going to save money and help people at the same time.
Right.
So there's people that want to save 15,000 cats and dogs, and there's the people that could not give a crap about those 15,000 cats and dogs, but would like to see their money not wasted. When you merge those things and have the no-kill shelter, or you put solar on everybody's rooftop, you're saving money. When you get that person into permanent supportive housing for 20,000, and you save that 40,000 that you were spending to have that person on the street, it just makes sense. So anything where money is saved and people are helped is the perfect combination.
Now, a lot of your ideas, I mean, they're radical and in a certain sense from what the mainstream has been doing in LA County.
Yeah.
How are you going to accomplish getting this through the supervisors to do it? I mean, to my knowledge, there's five, but four, Katherine being the only Republican, from my understanding. So you've got 4 Democrats, but from I believe they're pretty conservative Democrats, though, from my understanding.
Yes, that is very true.
So how will you get this stuff done?
So there's 2 things. We were talking before about how there's only 5 supervisors. The supervisors consider their own domain their domain, and they're very unwilling to get into somebody else's business unless there's a real reason. So like they let Katherine do things that she shouldn't have been able to do. That's her area. Well, that's not the way things should be.
Right.
So I've the idea that things that make money and bring in tax revenue, when I can show them the numbers, hey, this is where we're going to be a year from now. Right. Would you like to have the same money we have now, or would you like to have 10% more? Oh, I'd like to have 10% more. Okay, do this. And I have fully, willingly, publicly said it's my head on the chopping block. If I have these great ideas and they don't work out, it's on me. But I will say most of these ideas have tried and true, tested in other places, right? We're so insular in LA County. We think, it's only invented here.
Right.
No, there's 7 billion people in the world, and they've done amazing things. Take what worked from these other places and just use it here.
Right.
And everyone thinks it's a radical idea. Like if you've never seen a car, if you're from some place with no car and a car drives up, it's mind-blowing. Okay. But in truth, they have cars everywhere. They have these great ideas everywhere, and they've been tested with actual governments and government spending billions of dollars on these things. And we get the advantage of knowing what worked and what didn't and why and how, and then we just get to implement it. One of the things, we've got 108,000 employees in the county right now. It's as big as some armies in the world. Best paid, best educated, but least morale of any major county government. Because people are stuck. They make a deal with the devil and they say, I'm going to just not, I'll keep my head down, I'll get my pension, I'll get my benefits, which are very generous. But I feel like I can't make the impact I want to make. One of the most genius things in terms of dealing with worker satisfaction that I've ever seen, Google in the very beginning, they're working out of a garage and they're doing their thing. From very early on, they realized that they would not be smart enough to come up with all the ideas they needed. Every one of them can have 5 ideas a day, but they need 10,000 ideas a day. So what they did is they grew, is they said, hey, everyone gets to spend 20% of their time on what they call 20% projects. And that doesn't mean like, I'm going to go off and I'm going to drink beer and I'm going to study beer bottles at the local bar. I'm going to do something that has a benefit. But the boss, the coworkers might not have thought of.
Right.
And so we're going to do that here. So the folks in the juvenile justice system that work for the county that want to reform, hey, you need to go to Sweden and you need to study that. And it's not like you're just going to come back with a slideshow.
Right.
How do we implement it here? You're going to give us everything we need to implement it here. And then, boom, we can do that. For the folks that say, like, hey, wait a minute, we want to have different landfills. We want to have different recycling programs. We want to have a different transportation system. You get to do whatever. Some of these things are small. Hey, if we store our vehicles this way, we save $10 per week per vehicle. That stuff adds up.
Right, sure.
And being able to let 108,000 people's minds go free and figure out because everybody has something in every job you've ever had that pisses you off. Like, why do they not do it this way? You know, the companies like McDonald's that sort of figured out, hey, why walk 2 steps to the sink? Why not walk 1 step to the sink? Right. Okay, we're going to spend the money to move the sink closer. We can do all those things. The county has more than a $30 billion budget. You can make those adjustments to make the worker satisfaction high, but also to have everybody at the end of their career, when they retire, they look back and they say, I did this. I reformed the juvenile justice system. I did something that saved billions and billions of dollars and changed all these people's lives. And they don't have to be the director of the department. They could be the person that sweeps the floor in the department. But they saw it and they said, hey, I want to change this. You have to go through a couple of hurdles to make sure that the county money is being spent properly. But anybody can do that, right, in that process. And like Google showed us what's possible, and we're going to implement that. And then, you know, there'll be billions of dollars in savings just from letting people come up with their own ideas.
So let's get you on the record then. Yeah. If you say you've worked all this out, you've got the plan to implement it. I think the cynic would say there's no way you're going to do that without raising taxes on some level. Can you go on the record right now saying that you will not raise taxes?
We will not raise taxes. That's not to say, and let's be very clear about this, there are companies that are doing bad things that are going to pay crazy fines.
Okay.
There are employees of the county that are doing crazy bad things, and they're going to end up in the criminal justice system. It's a small portion of the workers.
Yeah.
But those folks are going to end up paying. There will be entities that are going to end up paying more because of their bad behavior.
Okay.
Those aren't taxes. Let's be very clear.
Okay.
Like, if you've done something wrong and you're paying more money, that's a result of your own behavior.
Right.
Like, you can't. It's not fair to consider that a tax.
Okay.
The average person right now is paying $3,000. That is way too much. Point to one thing that you say, oh, I'm happy about that. That's worth $3,000. There isn't anything. This should be the best government in the country, and it's not. We're way towards the bottom. We provide less good services than Washoe County, Nevada, that has no taxes.
Yeah.
We have $30 billion worth of taxes, and they have no taxes, and they do better than us. And lots of stuff.
Right.
Important stuff like public health.
Yeah.
And so we are not going to raise taxes.
Okay.
Will certain entities scream bloody murder because they've done things that they shouldn't have done? Yes. The amount of money that will be taken in will be more.
Right.
So that guy working 3 fast food jobs right now that barely can break 30 grand.
Yeah.
When he has a solar company that's taking in $1 million a year, is the check that he writes to the IRS and to the state and to the county government more? Yes, it's going to be a S-load more. But his taxes didn't go up. His income went up. And accordingly, as a percentage of his income, he's paying more. But I just want to make sure, because there will be way more money in the county coffers.
Okay.
But that's not a tax increase. When you triple your income, you're going to pay more taxes, but your tax rate is not going to go up.
Okay. Well, we're going to wrap up. So
already,
it's been over an hour.
Oh, I'm so sad.
No, I could talk to you for another hour easily about a lot of stuff, but we're going to do kind of the lightning round stuff.
Yeah, please.
Fun stuff. The first one. This is a new thing we're doing, and it's a question from my kid.
Okay.
And he has 3 questions, and I want you to pick either A, B, or C. Which one do you want?
A.
A? Okay. The question, we're going to cut to his audio, but is, Tell me something great about my daddy.
Your dad is absolutely amazing. And the thing that is best in this circumstance, if everyone were like him in the world of doing podcasts and journalism, we would have a much more honest, open, and free society. Right now we have a system of media that's very corporate that doesn't allow the best ideas to come out. And your dad facilitates that. And if I had billions of dollars, I would want there to be millions and millions and millions of him doing exactly what he's doing.
Okay. Well, I think he would have settled with, I like the color of his T-shirt. But thank you. All right. Marvel or DC?
So I always have to ask my kid this. So Marvel, DC is sort of the superheroes that I grew up with.
Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
But I honestly say that I've gone to the Marvel side of things.
Okay.
One, I think it's a little more optimistic. The DC side seems a little...
They do play very dark these days.
It's depressing a little bit somehow. And just the quantity of stuff that they've been able to put out is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's that Stan guy.
Stan Lee.
Yes. And I really, every time I watch one of the movies, it's like I'm looking for the cameo.
No more, though. He's dead. All right, and Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Star Wars? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see the trailer yesterday that came out?
I did not. Was it amazing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we bought our tickets literally like the second we saw
the
trailer. Yeah, they're already on sale. So, and let's see, the Clinton question: boxers or briefs?
So this is a funny thing. It's like boxer briefs. So like they made a new kind of underwear.
The hybrid, yeah.
It's the hybrid underwear, and it's perfect for working out and all that kind of thing. And I'll tell you a funny, embarrassing underwear story.
Do I want to hear it?
So my kid is a rugby player.
Yeah.
He's a big kid.
Yeah.
In the days where, like...
How old's your kid, by the way?
So he's 12 now, but this probably happened when he was 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Like, got a pile of laundry, put a pair of underwear on, went to a meeting, rest of the clothes too, but you know, and I just wasn't feeling well. Like I just, something was wrong. So I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm getting the flu or something. I just feel queasy. Yeah. So I came home, turned on the shower, got in the shower, felt fine. Yeah. Got out of the shower, dried off, realized I had my kids' boxer briefs on.
Oh my gosh.
And so now what I've done is like, I have all one color boxer briefs for me.
Right.
And then he gets the full rest of the spectrum. So like I can't ever make that mistake again.
I don't have that problem because my kid wears normal boxers and briefs or whatever, and I just wear underoos. So
that's so awesome.
Yeah. You're an athlete too, right? I mean, if I remember correctly.
I am not. I'm a back of the pack. Okay. I've done 2 marathons, and I try to do 1 half Ironman triathlon a year. It doesn't always happen.
That's pretty impressive in itself.
But understand that most of the ones that I've finished, I have finished. You know, normally there's a "you are an Ironman." Yeah. There's none of that. Like people have gone, taken showers. That they're disassembling everything.
Oh man, I know what you mean. I mean, the marathons I've done 5, and I go so slow I time travel.
Yeah.
So.
Did you see the record was just broken for under 2 hours?
Yeah, I saw it. It was phenomenal.
It's amazing.
Well,
I was so happy.
He cheated. He had people helping him pace the whole time.
No, they had like a little laser light on the thing. Yeah. But still, the fact that someone did it.
Could do that, yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
Astounding.
Yeah.
So, I want to just... Yeah. I want to bring this up because it's distinctive about you. I asked you about it after our last podcast, and I think the first thing that people notice, I think, about when you first walk in is that you have a bit of a bum leg, I guess.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it? What is it about your leg?
So I was born with a tight right heel cord. I don't know what we can see, but most people walk like this. And my right leg turns in because these muscles are shorter. And so then your body wants to have everything symmetrical. So it's more like that. Yeah. But there's no pain, doesn't hurt. No problems. I go through shoes very, very quickly, and I have to find someone else in the world because I have a torn up right shoe and a perfect left shoe. And so there's got to be someone in the world, and we could coordinate like same size feet, and then I have my perfect left shoe, they have their perfect right shoe, and then we can give somebody else like the brand new pair of shoes. And,
The reason I bring it up is because the point of the podcast for me was to always ask questions about that. You give me the opportunity to ask questions to people that you don't in a normal conversation.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
And so now people, if they see you and they see you with the walk that you have, it's a little distinctive. They know. They know now, so it's out there. All right, let's see. And I need to know if you have any tattoos.
I do not have any tattoos.
You're going to get a tattoo. Where would it be, and what would it be of?
I was honestly considering when my kid was young, I wanted to get his name on the arm, and it just, and life was so busy. Like, you know, when you're a new parent, like you can't even shower. So like the idea of going out to get a tattoo and sitting there, like I just never did it. But I think that's the tattoo I would get.
Okay, let me get your best evil villain laugh.
I don't think I have that evil of a laugh. I have an annoying laugh.
Do some acting for me.
Here, hold on. I don't know. It's just not. It's not. It's not there. I would. Of all the people in the audition, I think I would not get that part.
Yeah.
I'd be in the guy in the back sweeping the floor.
And do you have a joke for us?
So, and this is not a dirty joke.
Okay.
But it's a gross joke. And so I want to just tell everyone, this is like, if you're triggered by gross jokes, this is a gross joke.
Okay, terrific.
So, guy walks into a bar. He's got a monkey on his shoulder.
Yeah.
He sits down at the bar, and he's just had a stressful week, and he's just not, it's like a parent not watching their kid. He's just not watching his monkey.
Right.
And the monkey's running all crazy up and down the bar, like annoying people and whatever. And like there's like a little thing with cherries and lemons and whatever, and he's like eating stuff, and the bartender's like, dude, like the health inspector could come in here and it's horrible. The monkey runs up on the pool table.
Yeah.
And everything's set up ready, in the little cue thing. And then the cue ball's sitting there. Takes the cue ball, eats it. Just gone.
Okay.
And the bartender's like, get out, dude. Like, I got a pool table with all these balls, and I got no cue ball. Like, where do I get another cue ball? Just get out. This guy's like, I'm really sorry. Okay, whatever. He gets the monkey and he goes. And comes back in a couple weeks later, and the bartender's like, oh man, really? Monkey's running up and down, but it's not eating anything. Takes a cherry from the little cherry thing, puts it up the backside, pulls it out, sticks it in his mouth. And the bartender's like, dude, you're out of here again. But like, tell me what just happened. Like, I just saw the grossest thing I've ever seen. I saw a monkey take a cherry, put it up the backside, pull it out, eat it. And said, it's a pretty logical thing, actually. After the cue ball incident, the monkey measures everything before he puts it in his mouth.
Okay. Where did you get that one at?
There's my joke. That's a joke that's 35 years old.
Oh. The top two primary is in February?
So it's March 3rd, but everybody needs to know this, and this is really important. 100% of the people are not going to be voting in the same polling place. I like to vote in person, but I strongly suggest that everybody vote by mail. If you have a reliable, secure address that's not going to change, I would do that. That's the easiest way. I went to all the voting centers that I could in this district.
Yeah.
And drove around to all of them. They tried. And as somebody who believes in democracy, that is a really good first step. A presidential election is not where you want to practice this stuff, and that scares the bejeebus out of me. But, so I ask everybody if they can, do vote by mail, if you have a reliable address. If you want to be the person to go in with your kids, that's amazing. Go in early. What they've done is they've taken the number of polling places from 5,000 to 1,000. But that's bad. Right. The good part of that is the 1,000, they're going to keep open a lot more.
Okay.
So I ask every single person listening to this podcast, if you have that friend that you know that's going to show up at 7:59 at the school they always vote at, or the temple or the church or the mosque or the synagogue or the atheist club that they always vote at, That's not going to be there, right? And I haven't even got them to commit to put signs to say where to go to. So you got to warn everybody that it's not going to be in the same place.
Okay.
But it will be open starting 10 days or 11 days before. Okay. So the good news is you got a lot more flexibility. You're not stuck like, oh my gosh, the boss kept me at work. Am I going to be able to get here before 8 o'clock? You're not going to have that problem. But you are going to have the problem of we have to break out of the habit of just showing up on election day at a certain place at 7:59 because that place is hopefully going to have a sign to tell you to go somewhere else. And that will, given that you're going from 5,000 to 1,000, that will involve a lot of driving. Because every place I've ever lived in LA County, I was able to walk to the polling place.
Sure.
I didn't always walk there. Sometimes I drove the 6 blocks or whatever, but you could have.
Won't be the case.
I don't think it's going to be the case for everybody in this case, just because you're reducing the number of polling places by 80%. So it's just more. But everybody needs to vote. Everybody needs to do their part. There are a bunch of things that are this time going to be better. One of them is same-day registration. You can just go in there, any polling place, anywhere. It doesn't have to be your polling place. Like, if you're down by LAX and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to get home, you can find a polling place and your vote will count.
Great.
And it will count as, it will count. LA County has always been really good about making votes count, and they're going to do the same thing this time. They've really committed to making sure that it's not like a Florida where we're going to exclude this ballot because of this hang. Like if you have voter intent, in the last election I saw something where somebody lost their ballot, their mail-in ballot, but they had the envelope, and they wrote on a piece of paper, I want to vote for X presidential candidate, signed it. They looked at the signatures matched, that's voter intent, boom, do a vote for their candidate. That probably wouldn't happen in 49 of the other states. But with this time, we want to make sure that everybody understands the system. And if you can, do the vote by mail. If you don't want to do that, just get there early and then help the people in your life that are going to need the extra help. Because it's just like when you went from manual checkout in the shopping thing to electronic. It's just it's a transition, and you got to learn a new technology.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So, and assuming you make it to the top, it's the top 2 jungle primary thing. I'm going to invite Katherine on the show again sometime in the near future.
Great. And you should have both of us on.
Well, I was going to say, assuming both of you make it through the top 2, maybe we'll do. Next year we'll do.
I've committed right here, right now
to debate.
Yeah, to not only debate, but I'll do as many shows as you want me to do. But I'd like to do.
I need a sidekick.
At least one with Katherine, because I think there's a big difference, and it matters, regardless of people's politics. It matters if you have somebody who's looking out for you, who's got new and innovative ideas, who cares about every single dollar that's being spent.
Yeah.
And when you're taking $10,000 an hour helicopters to avoid LA traffic. I was
going to go there. All right. Well, Darrell, I wish you much luck in the election.
I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on the show, and we hope you guys enjoyed the talk.
You've been listening to The Talk of Santa Clarita. Listen to us on iTunes, SoundCloud.com, YouTube, and Stitcher. Barring a life event getting in the way, a new podcast is available every Tuesday. Questions, comments, and show ideas can be sent to thetalkofsantaclarita@gmail.com. You can also call or text us at 661-505-8672. That's 661-505-8672. Follow us on Twitter at The Talk of SC or on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at The Talk of Santa Clarita. You can also visit our website by going to www.thetalkofsantaclarita.com. This has been a production of Radio Free Santa Clarita Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To donate, go to radiofreesantaclarita.org/donate. Radio Free Santa Clarita, on the net and on the air, and we're very much aware.
Any questions?